All right, welcome back into our digital streaming. We want to provide an update for you guys as we continue to just track this winter weather. We are obviously doing team coverage this morning out in Newberry and Fairfield counties, and we are continuing our team coverage. Our team is actually out in the field right now, and I am also joined by meteorologist Sandra Brogan. So Sandra, want to kind of get an update on the weather because right now it feels like we're in a little bit of a lull, but there is more on the way as Chandler Jordan was showing us earlier.
Yeah, unfortunately, our temperatures have been struggling to get to above freezing, so that colder air is going to stick around just a little bit longer than earlier thought into about the mid to even late afternoon hours. And so with that said, we've got more moisture coming back in, so that's going to continue to increase or continue that chance for some freezing rain across portions of the Midlands. So again, what we're seeing out there for the most part has been freezing rain, leading to that potential for ice accumulation. So again, we are seeing mainly freezing rain across the area, but we also have seen some sleet mixing in. So, the difference being sleet bounces. And some folks have even thought they have seen some, snowflakes, but, if you saw it bounce, then it's sleet. So the freezing rain, that is the main culprit, I think, in today's weather across the Midlands. And what happens is that we have a vertical profile of temperatures, if you will, and the melting ice particles from the cloud, if they have enough, if from the cloud to the ground we have enough warm air in place, then it's all going to be rain. And we're actually going to see just regular rain later today. But when we have a shallow layer of air right at the ground that's below freezing, that helps to cool surfaces down to below freezing. So the rain, it falls as rain, but then when it makes contact with those surfaces, then it actually coats those surfaces as ice. And a lot of us have seen that on our tops of our cars, our windshields, and even unfortunately quite a number of roadways across the Midlands. So again, when we do have sleet, if we have heavy enough sleet and enough of it, then it can coat the roadways, and traffic running over it can crush it, and then eventually it can freeze and form a sheet of ice. But freezing rain forms that sheet of ice on contact. So again, this is something that's more problematic, I would say, compared to sleet. But something else to keep in mind, bridges and overpasses, they will ice up more quickly because those roads that are on top of ground, the ground actually acts to insulate it, and bridges and overpasses, they have air circulating above and below, and so that helps to cool off that surface a little more quickly, and so they will ice up sooner than what you will see on just the regular roadways. So I hope that helps. Well, and also snow, it doesn't melt from cloud to ground. So, but again, I think we are set up more so for freezing rain as we go through the rest of the afternoon for parts of the Midlands.
Absolutely, and I do love this graphic. That's why I kind of want to have it there for a second, as you were describing kind of the differences between the types of precipitation. And we have been getting a lot of viewer photos and videos. Thank y'all so much for sending those in. We really do like to see kind of where you are, what you're seeing, the different conditions, because we have been getting people, a lot saying it's snowing and we're looking at snow, but that really could likely be sleet.
Yeah, it does look like snow. I've seen some of the pictures, like, especially on grass, it kind of looks like a dusting of snow.
Yeah.
But more than likely it's sleet. So, it can kind of look like that. And also, it could be something called grapple that, we don't hear a lot about. And it has more of almost like a styrofoam texture. But again, most likely it is sleet that is, covering surfaces. Yeah.
Not to say there might be not like a flurry here or there, right? But kind of the majority we're seeing in most areas.
It could be a snowflake here or there. In fact, Newberry earlier this morning had a little bit of light snow mixed in with their sleet and freezing rain. They saw a little bit of everything. But also, if it's I think Stephen, he was out and I guess he rubbed his hand over the mulch and it didn't move, and so that's ice. That's was freezing rain.
Great indicator.
If it moves, then it most likely is sleet.
Yeah, you can tell, especially probably walking on it with your boots. Definitely something that you'll notice the difference. But I do love that you have that kind of types of precipitation, so we can see the differences because it is something that we're kind of seeing a wintry mix of, like y'all were saying.
Yeah, and it has led to some problems on those those roadways. Again, we continue our first alert weather day for today and even into tomorrow morning. Now, tomorrow morning is not because we're going to have falling precipitation. It's going to be because of the refreezing of any moisture that's left over from today. But as for the rest of this afternoon, unfortunately, our temperatures struggling still at this hour to get to above freezing. So we'll continue to have that potential, especially the farther west you are, for some freezing rain to move through the area. Ice storm warning continues through 1 p.m. Monday. Winter weather advisory for Orangeburg and Clarendon counties continue through 1 p.m. Monday. I did say Monday for the ice storm. Okay.
Yes.
But so our main concern is going to be the ice on those roadways as we go through the rest of today and also, or I should say, through the rest of much of this afternoon, because we are looking at a transition to all rain for us for later tonight. And, we are somewhat concerned with power outages. I think mainly for those areas north of I-20 where we'll see more of a likelihood of additional ice accumulations. But again, we've been seeing our cars. My car was coated earlier this morning with the freezing rain, and you have some slick spots on those roads. We've had some accidents reported around the area. Even some roads I think have been closed.
Yes, with that, real quick, I want to just say that the Columbia Police Department, they reported that Elmwood Ramp to Hugie Street and North Main Street at I-20, those roads have been closed due to significant ice accumulation, just like Sandra was saying.
And and when we get to a quarter of an inch of ice accumulation, that's when we start to worry about the weight of that ice kind of weighing down power lines and tree branches onto neighboring power lines. We haven't really seen the threat of power outages so far, but we're not out of the woods just yet. We still have some additional freezing rain across parts of the area, and so eventually, I'll get to the first alert radar here in just a bit, but I want to show you we've had numerous ice reports across the area. All of those icons that you see for us here in the Midlands, that is for ice. Now, a lot of them were, due to a glazing of ice, but, they can pose a problem in and of themselves. They can cause slick roadways, cause slick sidewalks, parking lots. So, again, it's not just on those roads, but, watch where you're walking as well. So again, I've been talking about the temperature has been struggling to reach to above freezing mark being 32 degrees. You see, we are still in the 20s. It is 1:11, and we are still in the 20s, mid-20s for some of us, 25 in Camden, Columbia at 26. And so again, we are waiting for those temperatures to warm to above freezing. We might do that later this afternoon, but it's going to take maybe a couple more hours for a lot of us to see those temperatures to above freezing. But we actually may be even warmer for later this evening into tonight than where we are right now, and that's why we are likely going to see that transition to all rain for later this evening and into night. But this is what we're seeing out there right now, and this is actually showing more freezing rain than we were just a couple of hours ago. So we're seeing more of that moisture moving in. Our temperatures are struggling to reach to above freezing, so unfortunately, we're going to be dealing with that threat for freezing rain, possibly for the next 2 to 3 hours. So again, where we are seeing some of that freezing rain, going a little bit closer for you and show you that portions of Richland County, also Fairfield, Newberry, Saluda, Lexington County, up towards Lancaster, also Orangeburg, even seeing some pockets of some freezing rain. So this will lead to some additional ice accumulations. More so, I think, for those areas the farther north you are, where we'll see kind of the heavier moisture building in with that colder air. So here's a look at future radar. Starting out at 2 o'clock, again, we see that freezing rain that's going to kind of still remain a threat. Even this is looking at 5 o'clock. Unfortunately, we are still dealing with some pockets of freezing rain, but also notice that we're seeing a lot of it starting to transition. We're starting to see those warmer temperatures taking effect, and so we're starting to see that freezing rain transitioning to just regular rain. But unfortunately, because our temperatures have been struggling to warm, we're going to have to deal with that threat for freezing, for pockets of freezing rain, especially farther north you are, even possibly as late as 4, 5, or even 6 o'clock. And unfortunately, that could impact those that are wanting to head out to the game.
That's right. And with that, I mean, it is set for 3 p.m. now. We're, less than 2 hours to game time between the Gamecock women taking on Vanderbilt. It's going to be a very high intensity matchup. But Sandra, for people who are traveling in, we've had questions about the commute. what it's looking like kind of downtown road conditions, and especially now leaving, how there might be some complications. So just kind of explain around game time and then afterwards.
Yeah, unfortunately, getting to the game, there is that possibility we may still have some freezing rain, some pockets of freezing rain occurring. So, just be really careful. But also, we're going to eventually see that transition to all rain. So I think by the time they're leaving the game, it should be all rain at that time.
Well, and with that, we our Stephen Biddix, obviously, he's been anywhere and everywhere today. He's been incredible, and he was actually speaking with some people heading to the game. He actually caught them. I believe it was Kroger or Killian, kind of outside Blythewood, and he was at shopping center. There were a lot of people there, so he spoke with some shoppers, including those headed to the game. So let's see what he has to say.
We're here at the Kroger off of Killian Road, where people are still coming and getting supplies. We still have a wintry mix coming down at this hour. And as you can see here, we still have plenty of cars lining throughout this Kroger. We've talked to a couple different folks that are going in and getting some more paper towels or some more water. We talked to one gentleman who's actually going to get supplies to make some chili. He said this weather is perfect to go and make a big batch of chili, sit down on your couch, and get warm. We talked to some others today, too, that are preparing to head into Columbia for the big game, and said that they're going to be driving a bit slower and a bit more cautiously, heading down 77 and 20 to get into Columbia, wanting to make it to their destination safely.
I'm gonna make sure I'm driving, plenty of distance from the car in front of me, very slow, take my time, watch for the other driver, look for black ice, all that stuff, yeah.
This wintry precipitation is expected to continue throughout the day. State officials and law enforcement are really urging people, if you do have to get on the roads, to drive slow and drive safely, but once again, would prefer you to stay home to keep them and everybody safe. Reporting in Richland County, Stephen Biddix, WIS News 10.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Stephen. I know he spoke with that one shopper who was buying all the ingredients to make chili. He said it was perfect chili weather, and that it is, Sandra, because we are chilly outside
in the 20s.
In the 20s. And so show us a little bit about how long it's hanging around for.
Yeah, well, I want to take us back to future radar and just show us real quickly. Right around 5 o'clock, we are showing that, that freezing rain potential all the way, towards Columbia. So again, for those traveling to the game, especially if you're traveling in from the north or the west, you may run into some freezing rain, unfortunately. Tip off again at 3 o'clock. So again, it's just something to bear in mind, just, safety first. But again, as we continue to put this in motion, we're eventually going to see that transition to all rain. It's not going to happen, though, until closer to this evening, but it should be just all rain. It's going to come down heavily at times. And the hope is with the rain, it will help to melt some of that ice that has accumulated from earlier in the day, but the rain could come down heavily at times. And then this is timed at around 2 a.m., so it's going to occur at night for a lot of the Midlands, and it won't provide that opportunity like it would if the rain was coming through during the day to evaporate as much. So we could still have some lingering moisture on surfaces in time for tomorrow morning. No longer any falling precipitation for tomorrow morning, but I just want to show you how cold it's going to get behind that rain. Now, a lot of us will be above freezing, so some good news there. So I-20 and southward, it's looking like we should be above freezing. That's how the forecast is shaping up for now. But north of I-20, still have some moisture around, and we're going to be below freezing. So black ice is going to be an issue, especially in those areas north of I-20 for tomorrow morning. So something just to keep in mind for your Monday. And that's why we've continued the first alert weather day through Monday morning.
Yeah, absolutely. And so with that travel, obviously there have been some schools that have transitioned to e-learning. Some have just canceled it altogether and closed it out. Some of the schools that have gone to e-learning for Monday include Richland 2, Lexington 3, Lexington, Richland 5, Newberry, Kershaw, Sumter, and our Fairfield County School District. So those are a few that are e-learning. Again, we have had some closures. I know Richland 1 was originally scheduled for e-learning. They are now going to be closed tomorrow. Other school changes include Saluda County. They are going to be operating on a 2-hour delay. Lex 1, Lex 4, and Orangeburg County, normal schedule as of now. If anything changes or develops, we of course will let you know. And I mean, as we were talking about with the game, obviously It's at 3 p.m. is the tip-off. If you can't go, if you are going to be staying home, well, great news for you. You can also watch the game on ESPN. That could be giving people something to do at home. We know if you have been at home this whole time, you might be going a little stir crazy. So watch the game, support the Gamecocks, and it'll be a good time.
That's right. Because we could have still some freezing rain across portions of the area for the next few hours. So just be very careful if you don't have to go anywhere. Just try to stay home. But it will eventually transition to all rain for later tonight. But then we do have that threat for some black ice developing for early tomorrow morning. And, I think it's going to be mainly for Saluda County, Newberry County, Fairfield County, those areas mainly along and north of I-20. Keep that in mind for tomorrow morning.
Awesome. Yes. And on the note of commutes and traveling, the Comet, they have suspended their services today, obviously, due to the weather. They will resume them tomorrow on a 2-hour delay. So just keep that in mind if you were planning to use them for transportation services. And a quick update, Orangeburg County Schools, they are on a 2-hour delay tomorrow. So that is something that, of course, we are getting these updates, today as the weather continues. We see how it develops. But of course, all of this is getting updated on our website, on all of our digital platforms. And then we, of course, right here will bring you those updates as well. So thank you so much for joining us. But again, we'll be checking in with you guys about every hour. So be sure to stay here and stay tuned, and we'll let you know. And we look forward to seeing you here in a little bit.